Hi, my name is Jonathan, and I would like to talk about Maslow's pyramid in the context of living in a democratic society. Maslow's hierarchy of needs in the context of living in a democracy and what it means to have human rights in the context of Maslow's pyramid. But if you do not remember what Maslow's pyramid is, you show Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is Maslow's pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, I studied this in high school. Very basic information. Basically, Maslow's pyramid tells you all the things you need to survive as a human being, up to being one whole human being. What it means to be a whole human being, a whole person. Starting with basic needs, if you can read that. Now, there are a couple changes with very basic fundamental needs, what it means to survive as a human being. You cannot live without these things. If you cannot be a human being if you don't have these things. You're dead, basically, if you do not have these things. Basic level of Maslow's pyramid. Breathing, food, water, sleep, homeostasis. I have no idea what the hell that is. Excretion, dumping a shit in the toilet, basically. Cannot survive. I guess if you hold it in, you'll die if you hold it in, or something. I don't know. That was stupid. But, okay. I'm not sure if Maslow would agree with this. Maybe Maslow would agree. But they added something to this. They did not tell me this in high school. They added sex to Maslow's physiological basic needs as a human being. You cannot live without sex, and I totally agree with that. That, for me, food and sex is so much more important than food and water. I'd rather starve to death. I'd rather die of thirst than not have sex. But in that case, I should be dead now because, I haven't had sex in a very, 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 very long time, and I practice sexual purity anyway, even though I'm an incredibly, profoundly horny person. So, I should be dead now, according to Maslow's pyramid, because I'm not getting any, basically. And, I should be one of those, you have those feed the starving children in Africa commercials, these emaciated, starving children in the Sudan and Ethiopia. They should do one for people who aren't having sex. I would be the poster child for, an infomercial. They'd show me an infomercial. This guy hasn't had sex in years. Please help this guy out. Infomercial, starving Jonathan. But anyway, so I was not aware of that. So, yeah, very important. But anyway, so, okay. But regarding and living within a democratic society, having human rights within a democratic society, like the U.S. Constitution, we have the right to vote, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, the freedom of religion, all these wonderful rights as a human being, but they are all at the top. At the top of Maslow's pyramid is morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem-solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of others. At the top of Maslow's pyramid. But, the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, the right to vote, all of these rights we have within America, our civil rights, are all at the top. Within the United States of America, you do not have any of the rights that are at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid. So basically, it makes no sense to have freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and all these wonderful rights we have as Americans. It does no good to have freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of speech, if you do not have the freedom, if you do not have your basic needs met as a human being. In other words, what I'm trying to tell, specifically Americans, is that not only is healthcare a right, and shelter is a right that we deserve as U.S. citizens. It's not just a right, just human right. It's a right you deserve, that the government needs to make sure that every American has shelter. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that you do not need, you should not be able, you shouldn't have to pay for rent. You shouldn't have to pay for a mortgage, because shelter is a human right. You don't have to pay to vote. You don't have to pay to have freedom of religion or freedom of speech. So why should you have to pay for I almost said shitting. You don't have to pay to shit. Maybe you should. Maybe Americans should pay to shit. Like when I went to Turkey, you had to pay to go to the bathroom. I just peed out in the back of the, lavatory. Anyway, okay. So like you shouldn't have to pay for rent, for shelter. It should be free. So in other words, your human rights are being violated if you have to pay for rent, if you have to pay for mortgage. And also, paying for sex. I get everything mixed up. I think about sex all the time, like, really horny person, so maybe that's why I said. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is like food. You should not have to pay for food. Food and water is a human right. It is wrong for you to have to pay for food. Like food and water is your right as a human being, so the government should be able to afford and make sure every citizen has food. Not even just saying food stamps. You should not have to even pay for food. Now I want to give a famous quote by Emma Goldman. Oh, well, let me give a. You don't know who Emma Goldman, she was an anarchist at the turn of the last century, like the 1900s, basically, and, oh, wait, oops, that's Christina Ricci, my babe, I mean, my other babe, my hotter babe, Emma Goldman. This is Emma Goldman. She was an anarchist, and I, myself, am an anarchist. She is actually very hot, very beautiful woman. Emma Goldman, she lived in the 1900s, and I have a quote from her. Ask for work. If they don't give you work, ask for bread. If they do not give you work or bread, then take bread. Now, in the spirit of Abby Hoffman, we really should just steal food. It's the same with you don't have the freedom of speech. You don't have to pay for freedom of speech. You can just speak your mind with freedom of speech. It's the same with food. You should just be able to steal food. Because you should not have to pay for food. It's wrong for you to pay for food. So, that's all I wanted to say. Again, regarding Maslow's pyramid in the context of living in a democratic society, is if you live in a democracy, it's more important for you to have food. It's more important for you to get food for free, for you to have shelter for free, with not having to pay for it. So there's no sense having the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and voting if you don't have these basic rights as a human being. That is all I wanted to say, and I love you very much. Bye.